welcome back to my channel and welcome to a very exciting video in my opinion. Today we're talking about the Too Faced Cinnamon Swirl eyeshadow palette. This is the 4th year in a row Too Faced has released a fall themed palette in this tin packaging. I think their quality far surpasses the quality in any other palette they release. I know they usually do a bunch of holiday releases in like cardboard packaging, and those are not as good as these tin packages. So it started with the gingerbread palette. Who remembers the OG? Then it was gingerbread extra spicy. And then last year they had the pumpkin spice palette. I love them all. I'm a sucker for fall. I know a lot of people are like, those palettes all look the same, and they all have similar tones to them, but that's because they're supposed to be fall palettes. So this year the theme is a cinnamon bun theme, cinnamon swirl theme. I think that's super cute. That's very unique. Here's the colors. It has a very, very slight cinnamon fragrance. I mean, nothing overpowering or anything like that. So here's a closer look at the colors. We are going to swatch them all, but I wanted to do a quick comparison between this palette and last year's palette. I also have the matte lipstick, the Cinnamon Bun matte lipstick. So here's the pumpkin spice palette, and I think these are kind of drastically different. I know every single one of these palettes has a pop of purple. So I don't know what their deal is with purple in fall, but here's pumpkin spices on the top and then cinnamon buns on the bottom. The pumpkin spice one definitely has a little bit more pigment, some more fall, you know, you have like this mustard yellow. Here's the gingerbread spice extra spicy palette. If anything, I think this one looks exactly like the pumpkin spice one. If we had to say that there were two palettes that were pretty dang close to each other, it's definitely those two. And then here's the original gingerbread spice palette. So when you look at them kind of like that, I definitely think that the cinnamon bun one has its unique quality. You take away those purples and kind of like this bottom row of pinks and purples, and it's a neutral girl's dream. So I think if anything, I'm going to get the most use out of this one. Okay, so here is the first 3 rows swatched on my arm. So the first color here is Flower Power. It's your matte cream all over lid color. Next to that is Muffin Top. It's kind of like a warm mid-toned brown that would be perfect for your crease. This one is called Sugar Rush. Very unexpected pink shift to that. I didn't notice that in the pan, but you can see it's kind of like a duochrome, kind of like a champagne with a pink shift. It's really pretty. It'd make a really pretty all over lid color. Next to that is Doughboy. This is very similar to Muffin Top, but it has less of an orangey warm yellow undertone to it. So another really good crease color. Next to that is a color called Love the Bun You're With. I had to really read that to figure out Love the Bun You're With. And I think this is your typical gold. Every Too Faced palette has a gold, you know, pop in it. At least these fall palettes do. So I'm not a huge gold fan. This is a glittery gold, which is very typical. Next to that is the color Gooey Goodness. Is it Goodness? Yeah, Gooey Goodness. This is more of like a topper color. There's not a whole lot of pigment to the powder, but there is definitely, you know, like a glitter there. So it's more like a glitter, like a pop shade, I think. Next to that is Frost Those Buns. It's a good champagne color. There's definitely some sparkle in that. I wouldn't say glitter, but there's definitely some sparkle there. I like that one. And then next to that is kind of a darker version of that one. This one is called Sweet and Spicy. Both of those would make really good all over lid colors, kind of like the smoky but natural look. And then your first pop of color here. So up until this point, you have pretty much every shade of champagne, beige, nude. I love it. And then here is a matte color called Ready, Set, Bake. It's a matte mid-tone pink. If you're looking to do a pink fall eye, that's a really pretty, like, deepening color, crease color. Okay, the second half of the palette is definitely darker, definitely deeper tones here. Very, very pretty. So the first one here is See Me Rollin'. It's a matte, kind of like a camel brown. That would be a really pretty outer V color for like daytime, deepening smoky eye. Next to that is I'm Toasted. This one has some shimmer to it, as you can see. This would be a really pretty all over lid color. Not my favorite. I don't love, you know, this one, and you'll see this one right next to it is Sticky Buns are kind of in that like gold bronze category. Really pretty for fall eyes. Not typically my go-to, although this rusty one looks like it would match my dress pretty well. Both of those have like shimmer, not really glitter, but shimmer in them. In the middle here is the color Sticky Fingers. This is like the pink glitter of the palette. It's not very pigmented, so if you were doing a pink eye, I think that pink matte from the previous swatches in the crease and then this all over the lid would actually be really pretty. This one surprised me. Lots of pigment. It looks like it's a black powder with, I don't know, like a purple glitter to it. It's a lot more pigmented than I thought it was gonna be. So I don't know, I don't typically wear colors like this, but if you were partnering it with like this purple right here and maybe the matte pink from the first set of swatches or even this one right here, it goes well together. I mean, you can get a really good smoky like Halloween eye. Here's your pop of purple. It's the color Food Court. I can't tell, is there glitter? This one's like a satin finish. There's no glitter, no shimmer, but there's definitely a sheen there. I mean, it's nothing amazing. It's not super pigmented. If I'm gonna wear purple, I probably wouldn't pull for that one, but you know, it's pretty. Love this color right here called Lick the Spoon. It's kind of like a warm matte brown. It would partner really well with Muffin Top from the previous swatches if you wanted to do like a little bit of a deeper crease. Next to that is another matte color called Cinnamon Swirl. This is kind of your mahogany matte brown for the palette, very typical, very good for deepening. And then here's your darkest shade of the palette. This is like an espresso brown, also matte, called Batter Up. This would be really good for liner or like a really deep smoky eye. Okay, so as I was going through the swatches, I realized I said a lot that there's some colors in here that I don't typically go for, aren't immediately catching my eye. So I think when I put them on my eyes, I'm gonna force myself out of my comfort zone and use some of those like golds and just deep fall shades, because why not, right? So I am gonna start though with the color Flower Power. Just as an all over lid color, I do have primer on my eyelids, but that is it. So I typically like to start out with a color like this to just set everything and put down a good base. We're gonna get this crease defined here. I think I'm gonna use Muffin Top, which is the more kind of yellowy warm crease shade, as opposed to Doughboy, which is more of like a neutral beige brown. Okay, I'm gonna go in with Lick the Spoon, which looked a little bit more like orangey yellow in the swatch than in the pan. The pan, it looks more like it has a pink undertone to it. Either way, it's a beige. It's like a brown beige, but I'm gonna pop this just slightly on this outer part of my crease to add a little bit more depth there. I feel like this color matches my dress, like almost spot on. So I'm gonna wet my brush just right off the bat because I have a feeling, I mean, most of the time shimmer colors, it's just a good idea to wet your brush. I'm gonna go into Live the Bun You're With. That's such a hard color to say. It's that gold. It's the one where I said I don't typically wear golds, but you know what, like I said, I'm gonna force myself out of my comfort zone. Oh, it is not as pigmented on the eye. Did I use, yeah. I was thinking maybe I used the wrong side of the brush. Interesting. Okay. I'm not mad at that, but it's definitely, it's not as like pigmented on the brush and on my eye as I was able to get with the swatch, the finger swatch. Okay, I'm gonna clean that color up a little bit by going in with Lick the Spoon, which is the more like darker, warm toned matte color. I'm curious about the color I'm Toasted. I'm torn between I'm Toasted and Sticky Buns. I think I'm actually gonna do Sticky Buns, which looks a little bit lighter in the pan, but if I recall, I think the swatch was a little bit darker. So I'm just gonna put this more, you know what, it just kind of blends with the other one that's on my eye. I am gonna pop a lighter shimmer in the middle just to brighten things up a little bit. So I think I'm gonna go in, let's see, do I wanna do Frost Those Buns? Or Gooey Goodness was more of like the topper. Yeah, I'm gonna go in with Gooey goodness. I'm gonna use my finger and make sure my fingers are dry. This is that one that I said doesn't have a lot of pigment as far as the powder goes, but it has a lot of shimmer. Definitely lightens things up ever so slightly. Not a whole ton. Let's see if I can zoom you guys in a little bit. I am getting a tiny bit of fallout on my cheeks, but that's no shock because I'm using a ton of like glitter shimmer colors, so I kind of expected that. I'm gonna deepen things up a little bit. This look is already way out of my comfort zone. So we're just gonna go head first and see what happens here. I'm gonna put my brush into See Me Rollin', which is right here. It's kind of the more, it's not the darkest matte of the palette. It's like the third darkest matte of the palette, but it's like that camel brown. So I'm going to just kind of like dot this slowly and build it up here on this outer part. And then just to add even more deepness, I'm gonna go into Batter Up, which is, no, you know what? I'm gonna go into Cinnamon Swirl, which is the color right above it. It's that like typical mahogany matte brown. And I'm just gonna dot that like not just in the crease, but pulling it in. Okay, I'm gonna soften these lines up a little bit. This is the same brush I went in the very beginning with that cream color. And I'm just gonna buff. That certainly lightened it up a little bit. So I'm gonna go into Batter Up, which is the darkest brown, and just dot it. That adds a lot of depth. Look at that. That's gonna be where you get your smoke, is the color Batter Up. Okay, very, very pretty. That definitely darkened things up a little bit. I feel like I kind of lost some of that shimmer. So I'm gonna go back into Gooey Goodness, same color, and just kind of dot. Okay, working on my lower lash line now, I'm gonna go into, I'm gonna start with Lick the Spoon, which is, oop, this color in the corner here, the more like darker, orangey, warm, matte brown. And then to tie it all together, I'm gonna dip into Cinnamon Swirl, which is the second darkest matte brown, and just kind of put this more on the outer half of the lower lid. Okay, I'm looking and feeling very dark, very heavy. I do not typically wear eye looks like this. I definitely dove headfirst into the darker colors when typically I would stay in my comfort zone, which is the lighter colors. So I'm proud of myself, but I'm also looking at myself in the viewfinder and I'm like, ooh, that's a lot. So lashes and liner are gonna tie it all in together, which is what I'm gonna do next. But I definitely wanted to show you what everything looks like before I do that. Okay, so here's what we're working with before lips. I really do like it. I mean, I know I said I'm not a fan of gold, but this is actually more of like a bronze eye, less of a gold eye, which is why I think I'm like vibing with it a lot more. So I love how it ties into my dress and all of that. So now we're gonna test out the Cinnamon Bun Matte Melted Lipstick by Too Faced. I do really like their melted matte lipstick formula. It's pretty much the only liquid lipstick that I own anymore because it's, I don't know, it's the best formula in my opinion. So I tried to pull out a lip liner from my collection that was like kind of sort of similar, and I pulled this one out by MAC. It's part of their Selena collection. So I'm just gonna line my lips really quickly. I actually have no idea if this really matches because I've never swatched this before, but it just looked like it would match. Let's put it on my hand really quick. Slight cinnamon. This one smells more like cinnamon buns than I think the palette does. So definitely just a true nude. I wouldn't even say that's a pink nude. That's definitely just like a taupe brown nude. Ooh, pretty. I don't typically wear straight nudes. I tend to go more for pink nudes. Okay, you guys, well, here's the finished look. Eyes, lips, everything tied in together. I feel like this showed up a lot darker on my lips than I was expecting. I was expecting like a nude brown. It's like a true brown on my lips. It's definitely a fall look. It's definitely a vibe, and I'm digging it. So overall, I mean, so after using the Cinnamon Bun palette, the darker colors, I don't know, I felt like a lot of them kind of blended together. I'm super excited and super curious to start using the lighter colors on a daily basis. I think that's gonna be more of my jam. And then the lipstick, like I said, is just a little bit darker than I expected, but I don't hate it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you like the look and all of that. And thank you so much for watching. Happy fall, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.